Hey everybody, Shay here. Time for the fourth part of this massive haul that I did of used books at the value villages around me over the last 3 months. So this time I'm going to try to get through a collection of books here that are kind of a mix of stuff. So without further ado, and I believe I've already read this book, but I found it and I'm like, I had to buy a physical copy. I ended up buying the digital copy of this. But if it wasn't this Batman in Philosophy, it was one of the philosophy, pop culture philosophy books. You know which ones I'm talking about? I'm just not sure who wrote the ones that, yeah, Blackwell. It was Blackwell. I bought a whole collection off of Humble Bundle. It was probably like, I don't know, 10 or 15 of these books. And of course I had to read the Batman one immediately. So now I got a physical copy and it's in perfect condition. So I mean, hell yeah, $6. And I would love to go back and read some of these. There's some great essays in here. I very much recommend this if you haven't read it. There's just some really cool essays on identity. If you heard people talk about like which is Batman's real identity, Bruce Wayne or Batman, it's more like Batman is the real person, Bruce Wayne is the alter ego, and it goes into the philosophies behind that kind of idea around identity and power and fear. And I'm going off of a 15-year-old memory, so I could be inventing things because I just love Batman that much. So there you go, Batman and Philosophy. I highly recommend it. This was one that I knew about, and I don't know how I knew about it, but it just looks like a cool book. It's called Horrorstor, and I suppose it's like a horror story set in basically an IKEA. I mean, it feels like a designer IKEA book. Like the design of the cover, the back of it. I mean, you flip through it. I mean, the story is in here, but then there's also, I mean, there's some shenanigans there. I don't know about the story. I know it's like an IKEA kind of thing, but it's like haunted or something. Or there's paranormal stuff. I'm not sure. Anyways, it has the names of the furniture-esque stuff. Look, I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I actually found it, and it's like in perfect condition. You hear me saying that a lot. For $5.50, I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot. A novel by Grady, Hendrix. So there you go, Horrorstor. And I'm really looking forward to read this one. I'll probably put this on my TBR pretty soon. I just realized something odd too, and I'm not sure how that's possible, but can't really see it there. But the US and Canadian price is $16.99 for both countries. When was this printed? In 2008? The only time I remember the dollar being pretty much equal was like 2000. Oh my god, look, it's so fun. Hold on. Yeah, we're somewhere around 2008 because I worked for an American company for over 10 years. I've got a novel here. Do I have a year here? Anyways, just show some of the design in here because that actually looks kind of neat. You flip it open. It looks like one of those fold-outs that you get, you know, when you're putting IKEA furniture together. That's just so amusing. And then look, there's like an order form. It's really amusing. I just wanted a year. I just wanted a year of when were you printed, bro? It's so good. It just looks so... Anyways, I'm getting distracted here. Look, I don't know. Now, I'm actually just looking for a bunch of other images that look cool and IKEA-esque. There's like a maze. You know, like when you're walking through an IKEA, it really does feel like a maze. That's amusing. All right, anyways, I don't know what year this was made, but I'm just amused at the dollar value being exactly the same for Canada and the States. Anyways, Horrorstor. Looking forward to reading this one as well. Next one up, it's an anthology called Thrilling Tales. It's like a pulp anthology. I'm a big fan of pulp comics. It's very yellow. I'm not sure that's by trade design. I'm pretty sure the pages aren't supposed to be this yellow. But that being said, the inside pages are not that white either. So maybe they were going for some sort of like newsprint-esque. Like the paper does kind of feel like old comic paper though. So curious. Anyways, it's a bunch of short stories. I've had an idea of, and I started this project, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and I kind of unearthed it recently because you can get AI to do voiceovers with 11 Labs is the software, and it's generally really good. If you're looking for like a free thing to release to people, which is what I would release these as, they're public domain. So the idea being that I love horror pulp and horror westerns and stuff like that, but horror pulp in particular, I was going to grab the short stories in there. There's just like 2 pages worth of short stories, and I would transcribe them, and then I would compile them. I would try to make a collection of the ones that I could find. The problem with these is that you don't really know who's writing these. I'm trying to hunt down the writers of these comics back in the days. In any case, I found this on the shelves and I was like, ooh, that's kind of fun. I like adventure and sci-fi pulp as well. I've got a couple of those and they're kind of amusing sci-fi stories. Like if you read them, like 1940s context is so much different than modern context from sci-fi. And so it's just kind of cool to go back to those old stories and see kind of where it all began, you know, that kind of creativity began. So McSweeney's Mammoth Treasury. We do have all new, never before seen original stories by Stephen King, Michael Crichton, Elmore Leonard. Why does that name sound familiar to me? Nick Hornby, Amy Bender, Dave Eggers, and more. Now, are these reprinted stories from the pulps, or are these authors that are writing as if they're writing from the pulps? Oh my god, I just looked at the back cover of authors, involved here. There's quite a few of them that are modern authors. I didn't anticipate that. We got a Neil Gaiman in here. All right, so it might be like a modern take on pulp, maybe? I'm not even sure. These are modern authors, right? So, I mean, who knows? Anyways, an anthology. I love anthologies for short stories. It's always fun. This one was a weird one. I'm not gonna lie. It was a weird one. It popped up on the shelf and I was like, I don't know why I'm curious to read this, but I am. It's called Hitler's Scientists, Science, War, and the Devil's Pact. It's more like history. I think I might have picked this up on the nonfiction section, which is a section I generally don't go to. So the way I'm kind of imagining the whole Hitler scientist thing is because I know the sort of science fiction-y stuff that evolved from this, or horror, like the different kind of experiments and like pushing the boundaries and stuff like that. And I know from a science fiction and horror perspective, I'm just wondering if that's like the context that this is going to bring, that like that kind of depraved delve into the dark sciences. I'm not sure if this is where this is going to go. I mean, let's see the table of contents here. We have scientific inheritance. We have the new physics. Physics after the First War, German science survives. Enthusiasm, compliance, and oppression. I guess it's the whole history of how it all evolved. Like the cancer campaign? I don't even know what that means. Engineers and rocketeers. We got the science of destruction, of course, 1933 and 1943. Fission mania, it's the nuclear bomb and stuff like that. World War II, right? Machines of war. We got the Nazi atomic bomb, Copenhagen, etc., etc. We got science in hell, in Hitler's shadows, farm hall, heroes, villains, and fellow travelers. I have no idea what any of this means. Scientific plunder. I have no idea. I'm not sure when I'm going to read this. I just figure like they're essay based. I guess I'm flipping through it, trying to inform myself on this dark phase of history. But my comfort zone is generally going into stuff that is just invented. It's fiction. Stuff that gets a little out there, but doesn't make you feel like humanity is completely cursed. We got Carniepunk. We got Carniepunk, Rachel Kane, Jennifer Estep, Kevin Hearn, Shannon McGuire, Rob Thurman. I'm sure there are a bunch others. It's a short story anthology. I love the idea of Carnival, the show. I loved it. I loved Carnival. I wish it was more than 2 seasons. I'm a fan of a bunch of short stories and tabletop gaming supplements and whatnot that focus around the carnival in the 1920s, 1930s, that kind of stuff. I think it's such an awesome backdrop for so many cool stories. You can tell by kind of just tapping into the strangeness that comes from Carniepunk. I'm thinking of American Horror Story. Did they not do something? I might not have watched that season, but I always love the visuals behind what this could be. So Carniepunk is kind of I'm using to me because it's steampunk, there's diesel punk, there's aeropunk, there's a bunch of these other kind of punks, and kind of sounds like a fun fusion that you can kind of explore and evolve within a short story genre. So looking forward to that. And then finally, we got another anthology for Werewolves and Shapeshifters, Encounters with the Beast Within. Damn, massive tome. Massive tome. Perfect quality. The spine's not even cracked. Crazy talk. And it was for $6. And this would have been one of those books where I get to the 4th book, I get the 5th one free, or I get to the 9th book, I get the 10th one free. And I'm always eyeballing the anthology. Now, this is such a chunky bastard that I wouldn't want to have left this one behind. But I'm pretty sure this was one of those, thank God I found it because now I have 10 books, that kind of thing. So Werewolves and Shapeshifters, can't go wrong. I mean, it's we got stories in here by Neil Gaiman, George R. Martin, Charlaine Harris, Angela Carter. I'm not sure who some of these authors are. But anyways, I'm looking forward to it. Let's flip through it real quick and see. I saw some images. So it looks like each of the short stories has an image. Now, is it from like old movies? And it's just a wolf image, I suppose. I'm wondering if they grabbed images from pulp. No, I don't think so. It's photography, images, stuff like that. Anyways, a cool kind of trade dress. Looking forward to reading this one as well. Any anthologies I always love. And I'm making such good time that I'm going to grab some more books here. And I can just get them out of the way as well before we hit the 20-minute mark. I ended up finding some graphic novels along the way. And because I found 1 to 5, and by an author that I do tend to collect, Cullen Bun is an author I'm actually a big fan of, especially his indie work. It's generally got that horror vibe to it, or kind of a pulpy feel to it sometimes. The artist he gets, there you go. Like I can say, I knew right away. So this author, I'm not sure I'm familiar with Tyler Cook, if he's done anything else I've seen. It does look very familiar. Is that kind of style? I remember like Sixth Gun is the one I'm thinking of. The last Cullen Bun series I read. It was also a indie. But anyways, really cool illustrative style on the inside. I've never heard of Harrow County. I've got these favorite authors that I have a spreadsheet of, and I try to collect all their works, especially their indie works, and I chase them down. But I've lost track of this for about 5 years. Anyways, this is Dark Horse, also a publisher I'm a really big fan of. Hellboy, of course, the big one. I've got Volume 1, Countless Haints. I've got Volume 2, Twice Told. Bam. It's also got a little bit of a Jeff Lemire style to the art. We got a Snake Doctor. I'm curious. We got Family Tree. And we got Abandoned. Now, I'm not sure if there are more in this series, but of course I will hunt them down and buy them new. These are relatively new condition. They're graphic novels, so I'm a little bit more lenient on their quality, but put them in some comic bags, wrappers to protect them, and they should be good. They're good reading material, and especially for the price, I think I got them for, yeah, $5.50 each. And graphic novels are expensive nowadays, man. They're like 15 bucks American, and they're probably like 20 bucks Canadian. So effectively 75% off for each of the graphic novels, which is crazy. I got a hardcover by J. Michael Straczynski for Superman Grounded. And I figured, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, let's get a Superman book. $6 for this hardcover. Doesn't look that thick. And I'm not sure I'm even know what this story's about. So I might have a big blind spot there as well. And there's the art right there. I'm not sure what the story is about. Anyways, there's some more art page there. But J. Michael Straczynski, big fan of his work, of course. Babylon 5 is, of course, where I first knew his name, but he was writing comics back in the 90s and early 2000s and whatnot as well. Rising Star is a massive, it's like a 50 issue, it's a tome. But he was writing comics while writing TV as well. He's one of those writers that would flip between the two. And so always interested in his take on these superhero characters. So looking forward to Superhero Grounded. And the final book for this whole summary, I generally don't buy Star Wars material, but I got a couple books that I got from the library gifted to me. And so now, I don't know if they're in the new era or the old era. See, there's so many books, I'm not sure where to even start. But I'm a big fan of DK Publishing and these kinds of books, where they just give you a summary of things like in visuals and whatnot. And Rogue One is probably my favorite Star Wars movie. I know. I mean, I know. There's like the original trilogy. I'm like, listen. I'm saying that really it's okay. I remember as a kid, but that nostalgia just never really landed on me like it did for many other people. I love the visuals of the original trilogy and what Star Wars brings from a world building perspective. But when the whole reboot happened, the movies didn't bring me in as if I was like new to the world building and I could kind of get invested in other parts of the world and things that are going on. Rogue One did that. I went to the movies for this one. I was like, that was a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed Rogue One. And I was hoping that they would do more movies like that, where they were these standalone stories that were in the universe, but you sort of had an opportunity to just like reboot the idea of it and like a person's experience with the world and the characters that they might introduce and whatnot. So here's like, it's just a kind of a lore book or like a concept book. I'm not sure what you call these things. I got a couple of them for video games. So, and one for Marvel, I believe, Marvel Comics. So I will be looking for more of these DK Publishing books because I just like their design. I like their presentation and whatnot. So there you go. Star Wars. I actually went and grabbed them real quick because I wanted to know which ones I ended up having, and it was Lost is the one I got a couple months ago from the thrift shop for $6 as well. Crazy, massive freaking book, man. Oh, it was so good. I love that series. I don't care what anyone says. And then I don't know where I bought this one, but it was $7 and it's a smaller format, but it was the X-Files book here. The sleeve is in a roughish condition, but for $7, it tells me it wasn't at the thrift shop that's near me. It's likely out of town. Anyways, so I'm kind of looking for these kinds of books for the ones that I love. So that's it. I hit the 20-minute mark. I'll cut this down a little bit for all of you. Got through another one of my stacks for this massive haul, and I get to clear my desk a little bit more. I got 1 or 2 more piles or videos that I'm going to be doing as a continuation of this series because I'm going to be heading back to the thrift shop soon, and I just want to make sure I clean the slate. You know what I'm saying? So I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.